All right, good afternoon or good evening to everyone out there in internet land or on shortwave. Today's Tuesday, May 31st, and I'd like to welcome everybody to Amateur Radio Roundtable. My name's Tom Medlin, W5KUB. I'd like to welcome you to our group here. If you're listening on shortwave station WBCQ up in Monticello, Maine on 5130 kilohertz, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email and let us know how you're hearing us. We'd like a signal report from wherever you are. You can send that to Tom at W5KUB.com. Tom at W5KUB.com. We'd like to invite everybody out there. Please join our Facebook group, even the hams that are on our webcast tonight. There's a link at the bottom of our web page with the little a Facebook icon. Just click on that. You can join us. It tells about all of our upcoming broadcasts, and it's just a ham radio site. You can post pictures of your ham station, talk ham radio, whatever you want to on there. So please join our ham radio webcast Facebook group at W5KUB.com. Just one quick announcement. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to probably stop our emailing that we send out every week before the show. It's expensive. I don't think it's really helping a whole lot. I know it reminds some people about the show, but it's costing us about $75 a month for that email service. And you know what? In 1 year, that'll buy a good laptop so we can stream a little bit better on the show here. That's about $800 or $900 a year just for email, and we don't really need it. There is a link on our menu above. It says news. I think it says news. It's kind of like a blog. If you click on that link, it'll tell you what's going to be on the show next week. So if you click there, you'll see that Dr. Bob and Heard Island's on tonight. So we're going to stop that mailing. We're going to start counting more on Twitter and Facebook and events and people retweeting to help us get the word out. And just a quick announcement in case I forget it. Next week we're going to give out a BHI dual inline DSP noise reduction module to somebody out there in the chat room. This is from BHI over in the UK. This is a very cool DSP noise resolution monitor, reduction monitor. It's valued at about $250, and we're going to give that out to some lucky viewer next week. And we'll be sure and put that in the letter next week. We'll probably send out one more letter. So let's see what's going on here tonight. You know, all you guys know, Heard Island is over with. There's probably a lot of questions about Heard Island, and our guest tonight is Dr. Bob. Let me see if I can get him here. Oh, that's not it. I've lost you, Dr. Bob. Let's see. Let me see if I can get Dr. Bob in here. There we go. I got too many camera shots. We got Dr. Bob Schmieder, KK6EK, with us tonight. He's the leader of the Heard Island DXpedition. And he's got a lot of pictures he's going to show us tonight and talk to us about a lot of things. And I tell you what, Dr. Bob, after about 1 hour, let's open the phone lines. And then if some people want to call in, we'll let them call in and we'll answer their calls. Now, let me just say this. If they get mean, you know, if they get mean because they didn't work you guys, we'll cut them off, okay? So anyway, over to you, Dr. Bob. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Tom. Really nice to be back with you again. This is kind of becoming a habit. Talked with you before we went to Heard Island, while we were on Heard Island, and now it's nice to be able to see the other side of the picture. I do have a bunch of images that we took, almost all of them taken on the island, so I can put images together with some of the words, and I hope it will be it will kind of attach for those DXers that worked us. You'll get an image of kind of what it looked like while we were there on Heard Island and some of the activities that we did. So I put together this set of slides in a PowerPoint presentation, so I can go through them kind of sequentially. But I'd be real happy to be interrupted, ask a question, answer a question, or jump around as you see fit, Tom. So,
all right, well, great. Let's just
go at it.
Let's just jump right into it, and it's going to take me. Everybody, please excuse me. We've got 3 or 4 different camera shots, and as we get started here, I will try to adjust it for best picture. So, you want to go ahead and start your PowerPoint here, Dr. Bob? Let me see if this is it here.
I'm going to bring the program over here, and
that doesn't look like it. Maybe that's it.
Now I'm going to bring it up full screen. You should see
all right.
A picture of the top of Big Ben on Heard Island in the middle of eruption.
All right, let me adjust this. 1 second.
Okay. Yeah.
Going to try to get the bestest viewing experience we can here.
Yeah.
For everybody. All of our camera shots seem to have changed a little bit tonight. Yeah. Not sure why. Okay, I think this is going to work. And let's see, let me get these off the screen here. Okay, I think we're ready to go, Dr. Bob.
Okay, great. So what you're looking at is a photograph taken of the highest mountain in Australia, which happens to be on Heard Island. It's 9,000 feet high. It is an active volcano, and as you can see, it is actually smoking at the moment. This picture was taken on January 31st of this year, about 1 month, a little more than a month before we actually got there. So this event made news worldwide, and because of that, we kind of imagined that we were sort of coming on the coattails of some nice publicity about Heard Island. Probably a lot of people heard about Heard Island because of the international news about this eruption, and whether they knew about our operation there or not, it didn't matter too much, because this may have been the first time they heard about Heard Island. So this was a picture that was taken just before we got there. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see.
So let me ask a question, Bob.
Sure.
At any time, did you feel like this thing could erupt and you guys have hot molten lava coming down on you?
No, it's not really a threat. The amount of eruption is very small relatively. It's a huge mountain. This particular part of Heard Island is about 1 million years old. There's another part that's 30 million years old. But it's just a small vent at the top. Actually, I'm going to show you a close-up picture of it. It's not quite so small. The vent is probably somewhere between 50 and 100 feet across. And it just smokes. It did erupt some lava, as you see in this image. So it was coming down. It was on the opposite side of the mountain from where we were. So we were not in danger. So let's see if I can advance. As most of your audience knows, I was part of the team that went there in 1997. We activated Heard Island as VK0IR. This is the book I wrote about it. You can download this book in its entirety, no cost at all. Go to our website, heardisland.org, heardisland.org. Scroll down until you find this book, and just download it if you wish to read it. That describes in excruciating detail what we did in 1997, almost 20 years ago. And a lot of things have changed since then, and I'll make remarks about that as we go along. This is our main website, heardisland.org. We maintain several media sites, including a blog, and I'll show you a picture of that. I maintain this one, and so I maintained it up until the day before I left, which was March 1st. And then it was frozen until I got back home. No changes because I could not update it from the island. But this has it has messages, says this website is active again. So little by little, it's coming back to life. Another thing we did in advance was send out a newsletter, and this was the very first newsletter that went out, kind of an overview of the project. The last newsletter before the expedition went out on March 1st, And I've just posted a newsletter which is dated April 1st. Well, we were on Heard Island on April 1st, so I cheated you a little bit. I wrote this newsletter after I got back, but it's a newsletter that sort of looks like we were on the island. So you might enjoy that. And that's going to go out to everyone who subscribes to the newsletter. And on the main website, you can also just click on a link and download it. This was the cover of the last newsletter before we left. And inside, it gave you dozens of links to various internet sites so that you could get information about what we were going to do, when, and how we were going to do it. This sort of map on the front cover here shows that we start in Cape Town, South Africa, go halfway across the southern Indian Ocean, and that's where Heard Island is, right in the middle of this image. And when we were finished, we went about the same distance from Heard Island to Fremantle, Western Australia, and from there came home.
So I have a question.
So
I have a question for you. Why did you go over to Australia? Did you want the wind behind a ship or something?
Well, that's where the ship was going. The agreement we came to with the Braveheart was that they would start in Cape Town, South Africa, and end in Fremantle, Western Australia. Fremantle was on their way home, and the ship was on its way home. Coincidentally, and it was really nice. We had the wind and sea at our back the entire trip, and that's in contrast to some trips that might have started in Fremantle, such as Amsterdam 2 years ago, had to go into the wind and sea for half the trip and then come back. But we had it easy, relatively so. Inside that newsletter was a whole bunch of links where you could get information. The team is on the left side of your screen. Consultants, supporters, sponsors, advisors, and so on are on the right-hand side of the screen. This was the blog that we maintained. It was maintained by Rich, KYCR, who is my co-organizer. Rich and his local group, the Diablo DXers, did an absolutely amazing amount of work and amount of results in outreach to the community at large, to DXers in particular, to give information about what we were going to do and when and how we were going to do it. One of the most popular and most effective tools that they developed was an online help desk. So while we were there, if you had a problem, you could just click on help, basically, the link off of any one of the websites, and it would bring up a dialogue, just sort of like if you're contacting a company and requesting information or help. We did that, and it was extremely popular. We had thousands of tickets, they were called. Rich and his team handled all of those. And that was one of numerous examples of innovations that we did in order to reach out and keep the DXing and the scientific community informed. So this is, and this is still there. It's being updated by one of our team members. When we left, the team came from Western U.S., Eastern U.S., Europe. There was one team member from Switzerland, one from Ukraine, two from Australia. Actually, one was a New Zealander living in Australia. And we all converged on Cape Town, South Africa. The Braveheart showed up to intersect with us. We loaded our gear, got on the boat, and sailed for Heard Island, just like the other map showed. We did this on schedule. We left on March 10th. That had been planned almost a year in advance. So here's the float plan, if you like. Cape Town to Heard Island to Fremantle, Western Australia, and that's exactly what we did. In Fremantle, this was part of our gear. These green cases contained our radios, amplifiers, coax, things like that. I've taken these cases on several expeditions, including the previous Heard Island trip in 1997, VK0IR. They went back again. Here's the Braveheart in port in Cape Town. Was there for a week while we went through all kinds of complicated inspections and approvals. On board, we more or less ate together. They prepared good, hearty seaman's food. Two tables full of us, 14 men all together. We had no women in this on this team. A crew of 6 people, including the skipper. And from Cape Town, we were tracked. We set out a GPS tracker so that online you could watch our progress. So this is sort of the first half of the trip from Cape Town to Heard Island. On the way, we did some other work, not amateur radio. We had agreed with 2 organizations, the NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and also the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, to deploy a set of buoys. We had about 15 buoys. Some are drifters and some go down deep in the water. And so on predetermined locations, we dumped these buoys overboard. And within minutes, by logging in on a website, we could see that the buoys had called home, were reporting their position, and accumulating data, which was then uploaded. Here's the Woods Hole buoy. You throw it in the water, it automatically calls home, gets calibrated, and then dives to about 2,000 meters, and then floats back to the surface and reports the data it collected during that time, and then repeats that cycle. And there are thousands, literally thousands, looks like almost 4,000 such buoys of this particular kind in the oceans all around the world. As you can tell, Heard Island is right about, if you can see my mouse there, it's right about in this area in the south, I'm sorry, over here in the South Indian Ocean. We also set up a whisper mode transmitter. I think it used 30 milliwatts or so, and quite a number of people reported hearing that. It was fascinating, and I think there's a special interest group that loves seeing that. We loved showing our position as time went on. After 12 days, we approached the vicinity of Heard Island. We came in from the left here, and right down in this area was our target. This is where the camp is going to be. Heard Island consists of this big island here, 1 million years old, and this smaller one, 30 million years old, connected by an extremely narrow isthmus there. So here we come. And as we got close to Heard Island, we started seeing large numbers of birds. This was a fairy prion, and this is the indigenous Heard Island cormorant. When we were there 20 years ago, there were only about 200 nesting pairs. Now there are more than 1,000. So the population is coming back. Of course, they're prepared. They're found on Heard Island and nowhere else. Excuse me. So as we came in that afternoon, we got our first glimpse of Big Ben. Here was the mountain, 9,000 feet high in front of us. And as you can see, this is the part, this piece here, I'm going to show you some closer pictures of it. This is the part where the eruption and the venting or smoking occurs.
Yeah, hey, Bob, I just want to say just real quick,
Sure.
For people looking at that picture,
Yeah.
it shows, let me put that picture back. It shows, well, I think did you change the picture on me, or maybe
Do you
I
want me
did?
to go backward? Nope, this is the
picture we had up was a picture of a person. Yeah, that right there. There we go.
Yeah.
I tell you, I mean, that looks like a hostile environment to me. You guys were heroes in my book. You guys were brave to go out and spend 20 days. I mean, if that's your first glimpse right there, that's some tough stuff ahead.
It was very exciting because usually on Heard Island, you can't see the mountain. It's covered in fog or clouds. But we were treated the day we landed and all the next day to absolutely spectacular views of the mountain. And you're quite right. That's a very, very dangerous environment. We didn't go up there, though. I have a whole lot of respect for the 3 teams that have actually summited Big Ben in history. The first was in 1995, led by Graham Budd, who's an Australian in Sydney and has become quite a close friend of the project. They summited it for the first time. It's a serious mountain. It's not something you would just say, oh, well, I think I'll just go up there on Sunday afternoon. This is potentially life-threatening. It's dangerous not only because it's cold and usually there's zero visibility, and especially during the summer, the austral summer, which is more or less the time we were there, a lot of that ice is just falling down. So the mountain is cracking up and melting and so on. So it's just an extraordinarily dangerous place to be. We did not go up there though. So, all right, let me show you another picture. This is a longer lens image of that edifice up there. To my recollection, and I've now checked some of the pictures I took in 1997, that was not there in 97. So this whole sub-peak here has apparently grown in the 20 years since we were there. Here's yet a closer up picture of it, and you can see there's some smoke coming out of here. And from here to here is about 800 feet. So maybe this height is about 100 feet. So maybe this opening here, this crater or caldera, might be 70 or 80 feet across. I can't tell you how big the actual vent is because we didn't see it. But I can tell you that from this image, maybe 80 feet in diameter is what has, at least in the past, created a crater there. It's a big place. And this is a process picture. I went to some effort to increase contrast and sharpen it and so on. So this gives probably the most detail of that structure, and it will be very interesting to get pictures both before and after our visit there, compare them with pictures taken in essentially the same place, because then we might be able to get some idea of how fast or slow or what the rate is of growth of this edifice. So we were able to land on the first day because we came in late afternoon. They landed us at a little spit out here rather than the long sweeping sandy beach, because it didn't require us to get in the water and get wet. This is a satellite image of the area very near our landing place. Was just off to the lower left here, and this sort of white messy area is the ruins or remains of the Australian research campsite done in 1947 to 1953 or 54. And there's almost nothing left of those buildings. There was quite a bit left when we were there in 97, but the wind blows this stuff apart and blows it away. These two white dots up here are some refuge shelters made of water tanks. I'll show you a close-up picture of it. This green spot is also a refuge shelter. We call it an apple. Sorry, I'm going to go back again. We put, if you can see my mouse, we put our campsite right about down here. So this was right at the edge of the allowed zone according to our permit, and we were as far away from these as we could be. This area is off limits. That's one of the things that's changed. It's off limits to visitors, and so we put our campsite out here, put our antennas sort of around the campsite, and did not go in that area. This is the only building that's left of that Australian research campsite from 1947. And these are the two refuge shelters, water tanks. We had wanted to use these as part of our shelter so that we wouldn't have to take quite so much tenting, but the Australian government who gave us the permit did not allow us to use these. We were allowed to go in and sign the visitor log, which we did. These are about 12 feet in diameter, so each one of these could have protected our entire team of 14 guys if we had needed to use them. We did a little repair on these, actually. They were kind of rusted, and we repaired them for them. Here's the green shelter. We did use this one. We put our our head in there. The door was on the far side of our camp, and we needed a place to put our toilet, so that's where we put it in here. In Cape Town, we had acquired a four-wheel drive all-terrain vehicle, and the Braveheart brought a couple of very well-constructed wagons that could be towed by that ATV. So here is one of our two large tents, and I'm going to show you how these tents work, but we were able to land on the beach off to the right in this picture, and then use this ATV to carry our gear and heavy things up to the campsite. Excuse me. So as we started setting up, we filled some sandbags with sand to help hold the tent down. To our amusement, the king penguins, which are very curious birds, came over and thought, I guess they thought these sandbags were penguins because they were really very interested in them. Here comes air compressors. Why do we need that? Because this is the way our tents are constructed. They are erected and held up with these sort of half inner tubes that are inflated to 60 psi. So there are two tents here with a hallway in between them. One of these was going to be and became our operating station. The other was dormitory or sleeping area. And the way they work is, I'm going to show you. We first cleared an area on the ground here. You can see the refuge shelters in the background and the green apple shelter in the background there. So we knocked all the little rocks aside and used rakes and shovels and made a nice flat area here. It was necessary because we had a floor. If we didn't have a flat support under that floor, it wouldn't have been workable. Pull out the tents. There are two of them. Stake them to the ground in well-measured, carefully measured places, and turn on the compressor. Sorry, I'm just the ends of a cold here. And now turn on the air compressor, and they blow up. It goes up in about 15 minutes, and you've got a usable shelter that's 20 feet square, 20 by 21 feet inside. Each one of these took about 15 minutes to erect. Carefully anchored to the ground, extensively anchored, because if we didn't do that, the wind, which probably peaked at 80 miles an hour at times that we were there, might have just blown them down. But the tents themselves are extremely strong. They're called Airbeam. They're manufactured and sold for military use by a company called HDT Global. They made these available to us at no cost. It's about a $20,000 each item. So there's about $50,000 of value that we did not have to raise money for, and we are exceedingly grateful to HDT Global. Here's another view. On the right-hand side of this is a rigid door that opens on a hinge. The other door on the other end is on zipper. And so our ATV came up here, and we eventually made a sort of a corporation yard there, and we could bring loads up with the ATV, unload them, take them into the tents, and then when we left, we'd take them out again. Here's these white boxes are what we put our generators in, so that if there was any fuel spillage, it would be caught within these white plastic boxes. Our water and gasoline supplies here. Here is the ATV. And at this point, you can see we've gotten up quite a few of the antennas. Here's one of the four squares. The site that we selected to put our campsite was really very opportune because it was only 100 and something feet out to what's called a nullibar. You can see this great big flat plain. This is all just volcanic cinders, and it floods every few days in a wind. It floods with seawater. So it's an exceedingly good ground, and we were able to put up verticals out here and then beams a little higher on the ridge. But it does flood, and so this is what happened 3 times while we were there. The path that we used to drive the ATV and bring our food and our equipment got flooded. We had to drive, and we did drive right through the water. The antennas kept on working even when they were flooded. So it didn't affect us an awful lot. Here's a closer view of sort of the corporation yard, if you like. The two compressors that were only used for inflating the tents. There were scientific supplies in these white boxes and so on. Inside, this is the dormitory. This is where we slept. We had bunk beds that are made by a company called Disco Bed, D-I-S-C-O Bed. And they also made these available to us at no cost, gave them to us. So we were able, using these as bunk beds, to save 50% on the space. We only occupied half the space, and we could use the central part of this for our personal bags and storage. If you go through the hallway into the working tent, this is what you see. There we are. On the right-hand side is the radio operation sites. There are 6 stations altogether. Back here on the opposite far corner is the communications area. The satellite terminals are right here, and this is kind of a galley.
So Bob, I see.
Yep.
I see you're wearing coats and jackets and hats inside your tent. How warm did you get your tent?
Well, we had 2 heaters. These are diesel-fired heaters, great big heaters that heat huge amounts of air, and it blows it in. This sort of bag-like thing in the ceiling here, that's a vent. It comes in from the heater through this sock, and then it's distributed here. When the heater worked, it was nice and toasty warm inside, and we were very comfortable. When the heater did not work, which was about a quarter of the time, it got really cold. It was as cold as it was outside, and really, really cold. So looks like this operator is just in a vest and shirt sleeves. He's dressed up in his parka and so on. So it varied. Here's operators. Looks like 5, and there's one from here where I took this picture. All the stations were the same. Each of the stations was brought in one of those green boxes, a complete station, the radio, the computer, cabling, and so on, so that all you had to do was open the box. The amplifiers were big and heavy. They came in separate box, but each station was independently and thoroughly tested before we left them here before they were shipped from California. And then the box was closed, and it was not opened until we got to Heard Island. And that was a good plan. Other DXpeditions used that plan, and it worked very well here too. This is our communications center. These are 3 Inmarsat BGAN terminals. They talk to the satellite. Inmarsat provided these terminals for us, and we will shortly announce publicly, Inmarsat will also announce that they were a major sponsor for us. They provided not only the terminals, but also airtime without charge. This is the main computer that talks to all of the logging computers. So all of our DX logging computers were networked together, including this computer. This is the one that talked to the satellite terminal and uploaded log information in real time, and that's what enabled the application DXA to give you a real-time feedback on whether you logged VK0EK or not. This computer was mine over in the corner. It was sort of more communications. I spent a large fraction of my time writing daily reports for the Australian government for their permit requirements, answering emails, and so on, writing various things. Here's what would happen. There are sort of 4 steps. What will happen when you logged a contact? And Tom, I know that you logged us, VK0EK. So here is what happened. Here's an operator, happens to be me. I'm typing calls into here. When I press the return key, the enter key, it's put into the network and it's captured by this application, which is what we wrote. It's called DXA. And there's a series of entries here, or lines, or records. Each one, it represents a correct logging into the radio log of a DXer. Has all the information. We use N1MM as the logging program. A lot of DXpeditions use it. Worked beautifully for us. And so we packetize all the last 1 minute of the contacts that we've made. So the last 1 minute, the packet containing 1 minute of calls goes up. Looks like I got some food here. It goes up these satellite terminals and out to an internet server. And this is what you then see. When you log into DXA, this is what you see. And I know that probably the majority of DXers who logged us were watching this. It was a really good idea to do so, because when you made a contact with us, 1 minute after that, up would come a little flag here with confirmation of your QSO. So here's a flag here for N8XA, November 8 X-ray Alpha, and that came up 1 minute after he logged that. You can verify it. This is the sort of the online log server. Type in your call sign, and it'll light a green light, or we call it a greenie, for you. If you are safely logged in 40 CW, there you get that greenie, or 20 CW, or 30 sideband. That can't be right. 20 sideband, and so on. And then how much time is left, and how many QSOs have been made, and here's a place where we can get a message. Excuse me. So this worked very nicely, and at any given time we had about 10,000 people watching DXA, logged in at all the time. While the radio operation was going on, we had a chance, some of us, to go outside and explore Heard Island. The Braveheart stayed at anchor in Atlas Cove while we tracked about, looked at things. Here was the moss that's extremely common in this area and all over Heard Island, and this plant called Kerguelen cabbage, the two most extensive plants on Heard Island. A lot of microscopic animals and also plants that live in and on and around these plants. Some of them are commensals, some are obligate commensals. They must live on this. Here's the view, sort of from our tent. Absolutely gorgeous. This is not Big Ben. Big Ben is off to the left here. This is called Mount Dragalski. It's about 300 meters high, and a number of the team members were able to climb up there and get some very spectacular photographs of the area, including this entire peninsula where the campsite was, and also the other areas. Here's a closer-up shot of it. See, it's covered with a lot of green area. This is the moss and the Kerguelen cabbage. But up a little higher, you can see this is really volcanic colors and volcanic ash. We didn't see as much debris as we thought, plastic debris. Sorry, here I'm struggling a little with my voice.
Now, is that water bottle deteriorating right there?
This is just a plastic bottle, and these are just chunks of rock around it. It's on some sand, so I guess this is slowly being eaten away by the elements.
You know, I hear those bottles are supposed to last 500 years, but that doesn't take into consideration them getting knocked around in the rocks.
Yeah, that's right. And they get blown around. And overall, there was less plastic debris than I expected, considering the fact that worldwide, the load of plastic on the oceans in the past 20 years has increased 100 to 1,000 times. Here, I would say it was only It was about what we had seen in 1997, maybe a little more, but not much. This is not plastic. This is the remains of a jellyfish. We did see jellyfish up on the beach, thrown up there by surf and tide. This was a mysterious object. We saw it from several hundred feet away, couldn't figure out what it is.
That,
So,
that looks a little weird there. I would have to
yeah, you want to
think,
guess what it is?
I would think UFO.
A UFO. There's a good, there's a good guess. Well, I'm going to satisfy your curiosity. That's what it is. It was a fender. Some people call them bumpers that are used to keep boats from crashing into each other. And we found about a half dozen, not all of this size, but a half dozen of these fenders and floats, fishing floats of various kinds in various places on Heard Island. So things that that break loose from boats and float away, sometimes end up on Heard Island.
So do you think I can get credit for coining that term UFO, unidentified floating object?
Oh, I think that's a given. You own that now, absolutely. This is an amazing site, and I documented this sort of thing in 20 years ago. This used to be one big rounded rock. It was rounded by glacial action, ground under a glacier until it was round. Then it was deposited on a beach, and there it was subjected to very rapid, that is daily or twice daily, cycles of temperature. And in doing so, it fractured into these plates. You know that that lava often fracture, and granite and other igneous rocks fracture along weak planes. Well, this material, whatever it was, apparently had weak planes, so it fractured along these planes, and then little by little the sand around it kind of pushed these plates apart. And so we found many examples of this, and they are very characteristic. The plates are all vertical. It's sort of like you stood a bunch of dinner plates in the sand, and that's what they are. This was some other kind of debris. It's pretty big. This is part of the skeleton of an elephant seal. The whole seal was about twice as long as this. The whole seal was probably about 10 feet long. And this is what happens when you sit around too long, and nature, including the scavengers, scavenge. Now, there are no ants on Heard Island that we know about, so this was not cleaned by ants. There are some insects, some isopods, but probably most of this was cleaned by birds. Here's the end of a glacier, not far from our camp, about a half mile from our camp, the Baudissin Glacier, and it falls right into this bay here. Of course, it comes down from the right to the left, and as soon as it gets undercut by the surf, it calves something off. And while we were there was such an event, a big calving, and it just deposited thousands of big chunks of ice, the size of suitcases along this beach. We deployed a weather station and recorded automatically very wind and so on. We also deployed another set of instruments. It was a little temperature sensor and light sensor, only about 1.25 inches long. And we deployed about 6 of these, and I set them so that they collected data for the 20 days that we were there. Then we collected them, and we used a computer to read out the data. So we did some sort of remote sensing and so on. This is one of many satellite images. Satellite images are available for Heard Island, and with some processing, we could identify things like this. Was a bit of a discovery. No one knew this was here. What is this? This is, you might think that this looks like rocks above and below and, I don't know, lime ice cream or something. And so, well, it is the ice. if you guessed ice to begin with, you're absolutely right. This is about 100 feet from here to here, 100 feet maximum width of this gash. I started calling this a blue gash. And after a week or two of pondering this, I really came to understand what it must be. It's the slope, rather steep slope of a glacier, which you can see the layered, dirty layers of the glacier that's being eroded as this glacier slips down and chunks of it come off from up here. This is all just loose dirt. And when a chunk comes off, it slides down and catches down here and eventually piles up down here. So that this entire gash in time moves upward. This point moves up that way. So this whole glacier moves upward as it erodes from the top. But that was that was an assumption or an inference, and it wasn't until we actually got there that we had confirmation of that kind of a model. Other things we were looking at in the satellite images were streams, and I discovered about 100 of these streams just emanating directly from under what looked like rocks. But probably these are glaciers, and this is a glacial opening at the foot of a glacier, because streams go down and run through cracks and fissures under glaciers and then emerge from here. But this is a pretty husky stream. This is about 20 feet wide, and it's probably a foot or two deep. So that's a pretty heavy flow. So one of the things we wanted to do was go to the other end of the island. If you can see my mouse, this is where the main camp was, up here at Atlas Cove. But down here at the opposite end of the island, an area called Spit Bay, in this map, which is rather old, you see this was just some moraines and some volcanic areas. Eventually this became glaciated. This was all one big glacier. So we wanted to send a team down there, not only to examine this area, because it had not been examined since we were there 20 years ago, and we did not see it at that time, but we also had an idea that we might, if we succeeded in getting there, we might actually take a radio and set up a radio to make some contacts from there, because it was an easier path to the West Coast, North America. As it turned out, I'm going to explain why that plan was abandoned for multiple reasons. But let me show you an image of that now. This is a close-up. Let me go back one. Now I'm going to show you just this area down there. And this is an image from 2014. And as you see, this, I'm going to trace this now from here, out here, and down here, and all around this entire big lagoon. I'm sorry, in 2007. In 2007, that was one big glacier. It was all glaciated with a small lagoon here and a small lagoon here. And in the 8 or 9 years since 2007, this glacier has entirely melted and been replaced by this lagoon. Here is the end of the glacier. I'm going to show this to you closer up. But this is the end of this glacier that formerly, just less than 10 years ago, occupied this entire area. This area, this lagoon now, communicates with the ocean through these very, very narrow openings there. And we couldn't tell if there were any openings here, maybe one small stream up at the north end. But since no one had examined this, we really didn't know quite what to expect. It's clear there's a lake here. It's called a tarn. It's very muddy. And there seems to be a stream coming out of here, carrying a lot of sediment and muddying this otherwise nice blue-green lagoon. But where is the stream here? And my proposal was it travels underground it drains out at this point in this little lake, then emerges from underground and goes into this big lagoon. But of course, all that was speculation based on these images. Now I'm going to show you what we succeeded in doing while we were inspecting that area for a possible radio operation, which clearly became clear was impossible. When there was a weather opportunity, in fact, it was more than an opportunity, it was a necessity that the vessel, the Braveheart, move to the other end of Heard Island, to the south end that I've just been showing you. The reason was that there was a change in the wind, and they had to run for cover. So this is now at anchor at the opposite end of the island, just over the mountain here and 20 miles away, the main camp with operators continuing to log DXers and also examine the environment around there. So now here I'm pointing to the entrance into this lagoon. It's right over here. That's the that's the south entrance that we saw in the satellite images. When we got there, the sea was much rougher than it looks like here. It was 6, 7, 8 feet. So we spent the rest of that day and the entire following day just sitting at anchor waiting for something that was workable. We got up the next morning and I thought that it was still too rough, but the skipper said, "We're going to try and get you inside. You'll have 2 hours. That's it." So here was the entrance. You can't quite see it well enough, but this is a row of breakers, 4 or 5 feet high. We had to take the small boat and barrel through that to get into the lagoon on the inside, which you see in the kind of the background here. Here is a close-up of that satellite image of that stream coming out of that little lagoon, the Tarn, and spreading all this sediment out. So now I was just landed right here on the beach, and I walked down to here to examine this and document what it is. Now I'm going to show you what it is. There is the stream coming out from underground. And what is the ground? It's not rocky cliffs. It's the end of a glacier. This looks just like that blue gash. It's not quite as blue, but you see all the layering. That's dirt. That's volcanic ash from previous eruptions. All of this material around here, cobble, this has been rounded by the glacier and deposited in the terminal moraine. And as the Earth's average temperature has gone up, these glaciers retreat and they leave these gigantic piles of cobbles down to marble size and up as big as suitcase size. But here comes this stream that you saw in the, let me go back. There it is, right here is where you're seeing it come out from the bottom of this glacier. And there's a close-up of it. This is ice, not rock. This shows really clearly the mechanism that I had postulated about that blue gash, and this is another blue gash, and we saw many of these. Once we got inside the lagoon and got in a different perspective, and it cleared up, the clouds and the fog cleared up. So as you can see, this gravel layer here, which is probably several feet thick, comes off the edge and then just slips down and crashes down and piles up down here. So little by little, this gash is moving upward. And all of that is driven by global warming. We did collect some glacial ice. I can't tell you how old it is. I don't know exactly where it came from, and we would have to do some modeling to know how old it is. But I can tell you it was very, very hard. It's not like your ice cubes out of your refrigerator where you just hit them with a spoon and they shatter, or you can crack them in your teeth if you're that way, which I am. This was really hard ice. I could not break this with my teeth. So, but it does have a lot of air bubbles inclusions. We were the first in this lagoon, and the first ever, and first to stop at several locations around the edge of the lagoon, the water's edge, and I was able to make water and and soil samples. Take these, brought these back, and we're in the process of examining them. Here I am in front of the end of that glacier that I told you 10 years ago, where I am, and for a mile and a half off to the left was glacier. Came flowing out of this glacial valley here, but now it's cut off right here because it's warming, and so this is calving, dropping ice chunks into this lagoon. The lagoon is warm enough so they melt. So you've got a lagoon instead of a glacier now. This was part of the northern breakwater that we thought possibly we could get through and in and around to the area where we might be able to take a radio and make contacts from there. Clearly, it was impossible. We stopped a couple of times and made observations and took photographs of the area. It was unworkable for any kind of a small boat. It was unsafe. The skipper of the boat, of the Braveheart, would not have allowed us to do that. And besides that, the permit that we had made it impossible for us to land on the beach, carrying our equipment, and walk to the place where we would have to operate the equipment and then go back and get the rest of it. We would have had to carry everything with us in one walking, and nobody can carry that. So for multiple reasons, it was just impossible to operate from the Spit Bay area. Fortunately, it was really not necessary, because what we found by examining the log from Atlas Cove, the west coast of the U.S. was being worked as often as it proportionally should have been. So no one was really getting shorted. I know that some DXers did not make a contact. Trust me, it would not have helped if we had been operating from Spit Bay. It would not have been helped. It would not help. And furthermore, the effort would almost certainly have resulted in 5,000 to 10,000 fewer QSOs logged than if we just continued working from Atlas Cove, which is what we opted to do. We decided to do it because it made sense. So a lot of people have asked us about Spit Bay. Now you've heard the answer. Back at Atlas Cove now, this was the day we started to take things down.
We're up now, I think. Okay. All right, let's see what's happening here. Dr. Bob, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
It looks like we lost our internet connection for some reason. I think the show even dropped out. I don't have your picture yet. Now your picture's coming in. Very good. Let's see if we can make sure everything's working here. And
let me make sure I'm sharing my screen with you.
Let me check the chat room.
Okay.
Yeah. See if we can get some questions coming in. And in the meantime, I'm going to see P location and how it was a lot of things, not only dangerous weather, but also the restrictions you had to get there. And how, the one location did work, the West Coast.
Yeah, it worked just fine. If you'd like, I'll just run through a small number of slides. I'll do it very quickly to get us off the island here.
Okay.
This was when we were shutting down, and it hailed, believe it or not. So it turned the place white. Taking the tents down again was the reverse. We just sucked the air out of them and rolled them up. There you are. There's one of them rolled up in a bag. This is the campsite location, and we're now waiting for the ATV to come pick it up. Here he comes. This area was flooded when we were there, and so here's when all of the equipment was gone. There was nothing left but to put VK0EK on in the rocks here as we return them to their website, and this is most of the team.
So did the government allow you to move rocks around and leave them like that?
Well, they were not there. These were the rocks that we moved out of the way so we wouldn't have to sleep on them. I got you. And so we moved the rocks back, but we didn't put them exactly where we found them. Yeah. So there we are. I'd like to mention online at this URL, media.vk0ek.org, is an audio log each day, and sometimes multiple times each day. I would make a telephone call to a certain telephone number and just simply dictate a short message, like 30 seconds or 2 minutes or so, telling what we had been doing or are doing or going to be doing. And you can go there. Each one is dated and the time and what it was. So if you started at the bottom of this list, you could listen to sort of an expedition leader's log done verbally each day.
This is as good as Captain Kurt on
Yeah, that's
Trek
right.
here. This is the log, right?
Yeah, it is. And boy, was I tempted, and boy, was I pressured to say captain's log star date, da da da. But I
Right.
did.
All right.
I said expedition log, and I gave it the date and the time. We did sign the visitor's log. This log went back to 1953, I believe. So we added a couple of pages about our expedition there. Got on the Braveheart and went on to Fremantle. And this is the crew of the Bravehearts. Some of your listeners who have been on the Braveheart know that this is Nigel Jolly, the owner, and often the skipper. This is his son, Matt, who was the skipper for our expedition, and the rest of the crew. And the crew is so good that we basically feel that they were part of our team. They were not taking us there. We were all going there together.
Well,
There
I
weren't
hear the
14
skipper
of
there
us that were
also
coming.
has got his ham license now.
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
Yeah,
That's great.
it is.
Yeah.
So,
And-
can you tell us about how many contacts you made and a little bit of the technical radio side?
Well, we logged 75,000 QSOs on all bands, not 6 meters, but 160 meters was extremely good performance. We logged about 3,200. That's not quite a world record on top band, but the distribution of the contacts among the bands and the modes was about what you'd expect. There's a reason for that. We worked at it to distribute it.
So, Bob, I want to open it up here in a few minutes for some phone calls.
Sure.
First of all, do you have other slides, or can we get your picture back on here?
Let's see. I think let's see what I've got left. There's a specimen. I'll go through real fast. These are the scientific specimens put in a bucket. It was approved for import. This is one of the specimens we will expect to see. These are others, and this is back to the current website. So I think that's the end of the,
Okay, well,
end
I
of the
know
slides I
that
wanted to show.
everybody that wanted to work you guys couldn't work you. They just, it's just like
Right.
like ham radio. I've tried to work people before, and they just don't hear me. But
Right.
with my little 100 watts and a wire out there, I managed to get a contact with you guys. There were a lot of hams that seemed, I guess, the real gung ho ones, the real DXers. A lot of people seem unhappy that they couldn't make a contact with you, even though you made 75,000 contacts. And so I know you had a big crew there. You were making as many contacts as you could. And I also know that the scientific part of this also helped. That was part of this trip, I believe, to help pay for this trip. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, let me speak to the first point you made. Of course, on any DXpedition, especially to a rare and difficult place like Heard Island, there's going to be a lot of people who simply can't make a contact. A lot of those are because they don't have enough sophistication in their station. We usually talk about 100 watts and a dipole. That's generally not enough. It may be enough for a DXpedition to another place where the propagation is more north-south, more favorable. So, for instance, well, I won't make it for instance, but there are other places where propagation may have been better. We had not only one of the world's most difficult places in vis-a-vis propagation, but we had solar conditions that made propagation just terrible on top of that. So the last 3 days that we were there, for instance, we had almost no copy whatsoever. We simply could not make contacts. Well, if we can't hear you, you probably can't hear us.
And you're right. 100 watts in a wire. You got a lot of competition.
Yeah.
You got a lot of competition, and not that I'm a skilled operator, but it took me 2 weeks studying your DXA, looking at the map, seeing where you guys were talking to, watch it follow the gray line, know exactly when that window was. It was almost like working satellite, Man, I had an hour window. Well, that was you guys, and that was it. And if I tried working you, 23 other hours during the day, I would have never heard you.
Well, forgive me. I'll just say, well, that's part of a sophisticated station. It's your head and your brain, your preparation that enhance the capability of your station. It's all understanding the process, being there at the right time, predicting what the right time is. Many less serious, shall we say, DXers, many opportunistic DXers think, well, maybe I can just turn on the radio at any old time. I will hear them loud and clear, and I'll log them. But it doesn't work that way. Yeah. This was really hard.
So hey Bob, let's see if we can get your picture back on so we can see your face. And I put the phone number up there. Okay. If people would like to try to call in and have some personal questions here.
Sure.
Also in the chat room, one person was asking about daylight hours. How were your daylight hours there compared to back home?
Well, we had about, I don't know, about 12, maybe 14 hours of daylight. It was a nice long day, but at night it was really dark.
All right. Well, work on your camera there again. See if you can get it. I got a phone call coming in. Let me get this phone call. We're going to get your camera established. Okay. So, hello. Who we have on the phone?
Hey, hi, Tom. It's Jeff, N3VE.
Hey, Jeff. Let me adjust level here.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. I can hear you okay.
Okay. I got a question for Bob. I'm real curious. Was there any animal life that you expected to see that you did not get to see?
Oh, Tom, I can't quite hear him. He's not very loud.
Let me see if I can get the level up a little higher there. Jeff, ask your question again.
Bob, was there any animal life that you expected to see that you did not get to see?
Good question. Animal life that we expected to see but did not get a chance to see. There were lots and lots of elephant seals as expected. They apparently were all females. The males were somewhere else. There were a lot fewer penguins than we had seen 20 years ago, but we were there 2 months different, and so the populations are seasonal. I think we saw all the birds and the mammals that we expected to see. What we can't see, what we couldn't see, was really small animals, and that's why we collected samples of the soil and so on. Microscopic animals. But I don't think that's what you were asking about.
Yeah, I think he was asking that. Hey, Bob, kick your computer there. See if you can get your picture on here. We'd like to see who we're talking to.
I'm sorry, Tom, you want me to do something here?
Yeah, see, is there something you can switch there to get your picture back on? We're not seeing your picture.
My picture of me?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
You just have to flip a bunch of different things, and different screens and... Oh, something changed, but then it went right back.
Well,
all right, the number, if anybody wants to call in, the number is 901-286-1116. We'll try that. I'll also watch the chat room, and Dr. Bob's trying to bring his picture up. Not sure why we're not getting his picture.
I don't see it, Tom. I'm not sure what to do here.
Yeah, okay. Well, we may just have to leave it
I
like
don't have
this.
it here either, Tom, but I'll hang up, Tom, and I encourage people to call in and ask some questions. It's a great show tonight, Tom. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry
Okay.
I can't make this
It's okay,
work.
Bob.
Tom, I've got about 10 more minutes. Actually, I've got a meeting coming up.
Okay,
So,
very good. Okay, Dr. Bob, I understand. Any last questions for Bob there? Trying to look through the chat room here. It's really cool seeing all the pictures that you showed us. You gave us a different perspective of what you guys were facing there and the obstacles and everything. And again, as I say, that was not a walk in the park. You got to be a tough guy to go spend 2 or 3 weeks out there.
Yeah, it was a big effort, big physical effort. Of course, we had a lot of help from the Braveheart crew. They were basically part of the team, but still, it was just a huge amount of physical effort. We knew that, of course, had the advantage of having done it 20 years ago. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody on the team who was on the team 20 years ago besides myself, although I was working pile-ups one day, and I logged somebody, and he said, "Tell Bob I was with him on Heard Island in 1997." I said, "David, this is David." So I actually worked one of our team members, an Australian.
So are you going to make it again in 20 years? Are you going to set that one out, you think?
I should terrify people and say yes, but no, I don't have any plans. I would love.
So a question from Bill. A question from Bill is, what's next after Heard Island? Do you have any other DXpeditions planned in the next few years?
I don't have a plan right now. I have 4 books, including the book about this expedition, that are in progress that got interrupted in order to do this. I need to get back to that and complete those other projects. So I don't dare do what I did before 3 years ago, is interrupt my writing obligations and say, "Oh, I'm going off on an expedition." I don't think I should do that.
All right. We've got a personal phone, but let me throw another question out first.
Sure.
NM7J wants to know, when will the ordered QSL cards be mailed?
I think they're going out as we speak.
Okay, I just saw on the internet, on your Facebook site or something, where the cards are in now.
Well, the cards have been printed and delivered to the QSL manager, Tim, M0URX, and he told me yesterday that all the labels are on the cards.
Good.
So I think the only thing that's holding it up, if it's being held up at all, is put stamps on the envelopes and put them in the mail.
All right. And Don, WA4YYM, he's a doctor here in Tennessee. He wants to know, did everybody stay healthy? Anybody get the sniffles?
Yeah, thanks for asking. When we were in Cape Town getting assembled and ready to go, one member of the team got a very bad cold. But we isolated him and took care with ourselves, and to our surprise and pleasure, we did not get his cold. He finally cleared out of it, and everyone else remained healthy all the time.
All right, and who's on the telephone?
Hey, this is Eric, N2KOJ. How are you, Dr. Bob?
Oh, hi, Eric. Glad to hear from you.
I got lucky, a couple 100 watts in the wire on 40 meters. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for the DXpedition, 28-year ham, and it was definitely one of my most memorable. The question that I have, and I know over 75,000 Qs, but do you have a favorite contact or station that you may have worked while you were on the radio?
Well, I think, yeah, I do. It's a young man in Germany named Jan, and his call sign is DG2AT, Delta Golf 2 Alpha Tango. Now, Jan started interacting with me 6-8 months ago, and he contributed a large amount of support to the project. And when we got on Heard Island, we interacted directly through email quite a bit, and we set up listening schedules and so on, because he has 100 watts and a wire, and that's it. And yet he was so determined to make a QSO that he worked at it so very, very hard, listening at the right time, being just what Tom was describing, looking at the propagation, looking at DXA to determine what band modes we were working. And for most of a week or so, I was very disappointed. I tried myself to work him. And then one day I was sitting watching DXA, watching the call signs that had been logged just roll across the screen. And of course, you could have been watching them, or anybody could have been watching them at the same time. And GG2AT came right across the screen. And one of our team members, Dave, K3EL, the radio team leader, had just logged Jan. So, yeah, I guess he's my favorite because we worked very hard to help him make a contact on that one. The other one, I suppose, would be David, my Australian team member from 20 years ago. This time I did not do what I did 20 years ago, was have somebody come to my station and work us, because I get credit for VK0 if somebody's working from my station, but I already had credit. I already have Heard Island from 1997, so I didn't do that this time.
I just had one last thing I wanted to say. It was about 1-ish in the morning here in New Jersey when I worked you, and I woke up the whole house when my screen popped on, and I woke up the whole house, and I was just so excited. And I really appreciate what you have done. I mean, putting this together, this video was so cool. I had my 5-year-old was watching it, and she saw the penguin. She just thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. But thank you for everything you've done, and Tom, WBCQ, I want to thank you for everything you've done. And this show is a lot of fun. I know there's probably some other people that want to call in, but I wanted to get a chance to say thank you again to Dr. Bob for everything, and to Tom. And I will see everybody in the Hangout tonight.
All right, Eric.
Well,
thanks.
Well, Eric, thank you so much. I reflect the thanks back to you because, as you fully understand, we're, in some sense, we're all on the same team. We all want exactly the same thing. It's your call sign in the log. And for a difficult place like Heard Island, it takes more than the DXpedition having a good station and good operators and so on. It takes the DXers having a good station the way Tom described it. Whatever hardware you have, put your brainware onto it and enhance the capability. That's what you did. So I thank you for making that effort, and I'm proud to have you in the log. And I hope you, you might want to get, if you haven't already, a T-shirt or a mug or something to put on your shelf right in front of you to remind you how great you were in getting VK0EK into the log.
It is in the birthday wish list already, and I can't wait. That card is going to be plastered everywhere. I'm going to put it in a special holder, and I'm going to bring it to the Ham Fest.
Super.
All right, well, Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you. And Dr. Bob, I know you said you had to go. I don't know if you got another minute or if you need to run.
I've got about a minute, and then I've got people literally standing here waiting for me.
Okay, well, if you've got other things, you can run and take care of your other engagements there. We really appreciated having you on the show tonight, and we'll do it again sometime. And it's always fun to have you guys on here and talk about Heard Island DXpedition.
Well, of course, this is a great opportunity for us to to reach a lot of people. So I thank you for that. We'll do it anytime you feel like doing it. You did one interview from Heard Island with Bill AE0EE, and you've had Rich KY6R on, and I'm proud of what all of these team members do in representing the project. And of course, I can't go away without reiterating how appreciative we are of not only our club and foundation sponsors, but also especially the corporate sponsors, and about 5,000 individual DXers who made individual contributions, small and large. Smallest was $2, and the largest was over $10,000. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Tom.
That's so cool.
Enjoyed
73, Dr. Bob, and we'll have you on again soon. We enjoyed it tonight. Thank you.
7-3. See you later.
All right, so that was Dr. Robert Schmieder, KK6EK, out in California. He was the team leader, or the leader and organizer of the Heard Island DXpedition. So let's see if we've got any, it'll be time for Hangout now. We'll, first let me make an announcement to our shortwave listeners. If you're listening on shortwave, we welcome you each Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Central Time, or 0200 UTC on Wednesdays. You can join us at w5kub.com, w5kub.com, and you can watch the show and you can get in the chat room. Let's see what else is going on. Please join our Facebook group, w5kub.com. We need you to join that. We're pushing for 5,000 members in the group. I think we're around 4,200 members right now. We're going to stop our mailing for people that came in late. We're going to probably stop our mailing in a couple weeks. It's not worth $800, $900 per year to send those emails out. So we're going to stop that, and we're going to count on Twitter and Facebook events and other social media to get the message out. If you want to know what's on the show, go to w5kub.com, click on News at the top link, and it will tell you what's going to be on the show. Also next week, we're going to give away a prize worth about $250. It's from BHI, Graham Summerfield over in the UK. It's a dual inline DSP noise reduction module. You connect that to your shortwave radio or your ham radio, and the DSP technology just clears that audio signal up where it comes out the speaker, and you hear things you haven't ever heard before. So we're going to probably use Hambot. We'll wake him up next week, and we will have Hambot pick somebody in a chat room next week for that $250 DSP noise reduction module. They're asking in the chat room, what's the shortwave frequency? It's on 5130 kilohertz, and the station is the International Shortwave Station WBCQ up in Monticello, Maine on 5130 kilohertz. I'm going to go ahead and open up. I'm going to open up Hangout. Let's see if we get anybody to join us in Hangout. Hangout is kind of a very informal. We all sit around the coffee table here, so I'm sure there's already some people in it. I bet you Doc's already in it. So we talk about everything. You know, you got medical things that are ailing you. Well, get in there and we'll talk to Doc and we'll ask him. Now you got to be in Tennessee. Doc's licensed in Tennessee to practice, so you know we got to keep this thing legal here. Let's see. I'm going to join, and we've got Jeffrey's in there. Oh man, hey, how you doing, Jeffrey?
Hello, how are you?
Doing good. I thought you were going to bed a while ago.
Hold on a second. I got to fix the audio here.
Didn't I see in a chat room you said you were going to bed?
Well, I'm going to hang out for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Let me get.
We're having
you on
echo?
here. Hang on. Here, let me get you on here. Oh, let's see if I can figure out how to do this.
Oh, I got an
There
echo.
we go.
Hold
There
on
we
a
go.
second.
All
What am I
right,
doing wrong?
I've got Jeffrey on there.
Oh,
and
I can't hear anything.
We got Eric on there. Eric, can you hear us?
There we go. I killed the echo.
Okay, Eric's in there. He just
There's Eric. Yeah, wow, Eric. We're listening on here. Man, I couldn't get it.
I want to thank Robert at WBCQ, Radio WBCQ 5130. Robert's the board operator there. He's the main man at putting our audio on the show every Tuesday night. Thank you, Robert, there at WBCQ. And we usually go off at 9:30, and it's about 9:29 now. So we're going to be terminating our shortwave simulcast any second now. Robert's going to pull the plug. How you doing, Eric?
Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
All right, good. We're working here.
Hey Eric, that was great for you to make that contact. I couldn't hear them at all.
It was quite comical, and I say comical because I'm sitting here now. Right now, my monitors aren't the way I want them, but so I'm sitting here and I got the cans on and I just tuned up everything, and I remember from the night before where they were listening, and they were just listening on one frequency because just conditions were horrendous. So I'm like, okay, well the transmit's there, and I'm sitting on the receive frequency, and if you can look at me, I kind of have my eyes closed, and I'm just kind of sitting here, and it was a little cold in the shack, and all of a sudden I heard CQ, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, CQ, QRZ, and I'm like, I pounced on it. I gave my call. I'm sorry, I gave my call twice. I know I like to follow the rule that you don't do it once, but I heard Oscar Juliet, and I'm like, I threw mine back, and I said, you're 5'9" into the great state of New Jersey. I unkeyed, and I heard 7.3 QRZ, and I'm like, uh-oh, what am I in the log? Let
me tell you,
program was great.
And where are you? I'm sorry, Tom. Excuse me. Where are you in New Jersey?
I'm in the northwest corner. I'm exit 34 off of Interstate 80. I'm now in a town called Wharton. No longer. I used to be in Sussex County for 35 years, but no longer.
No, I'm in South Jersey. So,
I'm sorry.
I'm in South Jersey.
You're in South.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Oh, well, you're sorry. Okay. But guess what? I spent the weekend on the beach in Ocean City, so I'm happy.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys up in Jersey. Didn't you go to school? We don't have a state called Jersey. It's New Jersey.
Well, okay, New Jersey.
All right. I see
Dr. Don's in there now.
Yeah, I see him. Let me tell Eric. Let me just say something to Eric. Eric, you were telling us how you worked Heard Island. Let me tell you how I worked them. I followed them for 2 weeks. I heard.
Yeah, it looks like I'm in here too.
Hey, how you doing? I heard everybody calling them, but I never heard them. But I could hear people call them, and then they'd pause. People would call them, and they'd pause. So you know what I did? When people called them, I called them, and they paused. And people would call them, and I called them, and then guess what? They came back to me. So how you like that?
That's the way to do it.
I mean, yeah. And let's see, we got Mitch in there tonight. We got Mike in there. Jim, who's Jim? Jim, who's Jim?
Jim's muted.
Jim's muted. Jeffrey, we've got Eric. Hey, Doc, you were out with the Boy Scouts last week, weren't you?
Yeah, I was out in San Diego. I was getting on a red-eye flight at 11 o'clock out there and got back to Cleveland about 9 o'clock.
How'd that work out?
I can't see that. Well, somebody was showing me something.
We
I'm afraid I missed the show, but I'm not going to be able to stay in the chat here too.
Oh, yeah, Eric, your camera's not...
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Hold on. Let me get me on.
How did what work out?
Well, hey, we enjoyed meeting you guys up at Dayton, but you didn't stick around on it. I only saw you for a few minutes.
Okay, it's a present. I got a Romeo Juliet.
Oh, okay, it's a cigar. I got it now.
From Cuba.
Yeah.
I can't smoke it. I can't. Apparently, you can get them in the States now.
Fire that thing up.
So Doc, did you say
it was nice to meet you in Dayton, but you didn't hang around very long. You had to go back out to your car and smoke a cigar.
Well, I was about to leave, so I was afraid I was going to miss you. I came by the booth and they said y'all were out on the floor, and I went the wrong direction, so then I had to back, and I finally caught up with you over there across from AMSAT.
Yeah, Eric, we lassoed Eric, made him go around, and thanks for taking those pictures, Eric. You had some good ones. Hello, Jeffrey. I meant Jeffrey.
It was a pleasure to meet everybody.
I meant Jeffrey.
I thought I captured a few that you might.
Yeah, you got some good ones there. Well, let's see. I just wonder who else is going to join us here tonight. I thought Katie might come in to hang out here, but I think Katie signed out.
Yeah, she's not feeling so. She's still got the Dayton crud. She needs to get to bed a little early.
She probably caught it from us if she's got it now.
Crud, I'll tell you.
Did you get it too, Doc, or you getting sick?
On the airplane.
Are you getting sick, Doc?
Well, I'm in here, but I'm probably not going to be able to stay long here tonight.
I hope I don't have the meddling malady.
Let me tell you, I had it. It was over. I had it over 6 weeks. 6 weeks. I took my last antibiotic Saturday of dating. Now, I don't know if that helped me or not. I think it just ran its course.
You good?
Was what good?
Are you good? I mean, you fixed
I feel
now?
like, yeah, I got still a little bit of cough, but I feel like I'm over it. But man, I had it for 6 weeks. And of course, if it was what, Doc? If it's viral, the antibiotics won't help it.
You're feeling better and you're looking there.
Well, you know, those virus, the aftermath of that stuff can last for 6 weeks. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm just going to be able to quick in and out of here tonight. I'm up in North Dakota tonight.
Thank you.
Good night, Mike. Good night, Mike.
Who's leaving us? Mike left.
Mike
left. Are you leaving, Mike?
Heard here tonight?
All right.
We can hear you, Mike.
Okay.
You're 5-9 into New Jersey.
I'm up in Grand Forks, North Dakota tonight visiting our daughter and grandkids, so I'm only going to be able to stay in here for a minute.
Oh, who wants to be in North Dakota? Wow, that's amazing. Good for you. Hang in there.
That's right. They have mosquitoes the size of helicopters.
Oh boy, we got somebody here. NM1W. He grew up in North New Jersey. Let me see who's on the phone. We got a call coming in. Hello, name that tune.
Hey, Tom, this is WXTV.
Who is this? WXTV?
James, WX4 TV.
Yeah, hey James.
Hey, just listening to the show. Driving home from the DC area. Got about 5 more hours of driving.
Oh wow, I think you're driving every Tuesday night.
Whenever I have a chance to listen to the show, I am. Yeah.
Well, tonight was mostly pictures from Dr. Bob and Heard Island, so you probably couldn't make a whole lot out of the show tonight listening.
Yeah, I actually was able to glance over at my iPhone. So it's kind of cool. I was going to see if I could join the roundtable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're on the phone. You're on a phone, but not on a not the Hangout, right? You're gonna have to join us on Hangout one night.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean on the Hangout. I can't join the Hangout from the iPhone if I'm driving down the road.
Okay.
Let me do it.
I got you. Yep.
That's interesting. Look. So you can't join the Hangout from an iPhone
while you're mobile.
He's driving.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm working on this bracket. It goes on my steering wheel. I'm gonna mount a laptop on my steering wheel. What do you think about that?
What are you gonna do when you go around a real sharp turn? You're gonna spin that sucker?
Is that a heads-up display?
Yeah. That's gonna be a heads-up display there. Well, James, I keep following. James, I keep following all the kids there. The Lee kids, and I tried my best to. Well, it was Hope, I think, on the other day. I tried my best, but I never heard her.
Oh, yeah, Hope was on. Grace, our 8-year-old, got her ticket the Monday before orientation. And last weekend.
That's James. Wow. Celebrity on there.
She made her first HF DX contact Saturday.
Oh,
I know they all got their license now. Well, let me ask the question: Does Hope speak Spanish?
Not yet.
Well, I heard her talking to somebody, and I heard her say, I think she said "Me llama Esperanza."
Oh yeah. That was on Saturday. She was I don't know. She's talking to somebody down in South America.
Yeah, I heard that contact. I heard that contact, and it reminded me. I think Esperanza. When you.
I'm gonna have to hang it up.
All right, Mike. We'll see you. 73, Mike. So I think it kind of made me remember a little Spanish when she said Esperanza. I remembered that the English word for that's hope.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
One of the things, ham radio and just her outgoingness. She's learned her name in several different languages.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, and you know what? She's operating like a pro now. She's operating like she's operated for years. She's taking control, and she knows what to do.
She amazes me to no end.
What's the age now?
She is 9.
Wow.
And her son are going to start studying for their extra class licenses and try the test before the question pool changes. I don't want to teach an extra 200 items to them, so we'll see how that works out in the next month.
All right. Well, hey, let me ask Mitch. Let me ask Mitch a question. Mitch, how did your testing go up in Dayton this year?
My signal here and the internet's not too good here in North Dakota right
pretty
now.
Pretty good. We had 18 people in the class, and a few didn't want to take the test that day, so they're going to be taking one. I think took the test this Saturday and passed, and I think we're waiting on 2 others. So we're hoping for a 100% pass rate. So looks like we're going to make 18 new hamsters to join us.
All right. Well, and why did they not want to take the test? They just felt like they wouldn't pass it.
One guy he had to go somewhere at 4 o'clock. So I said, well, take the course and then take the test the week after. And I think somebody else just didn't want to. They weren't ready or whatever. So. We hopefully we'll get them all in. I've been yelling at them all week.
You know, hey, if you don't have much time, you just answer C on all of them all the way down.
I'm very surprised that that you only had 18 take the class at Dayton. I would think there would be probably like 100 that would want to take the class.
Well, it's a kind of thing where you have to do it in advance, and I get a lot of phone calls the day before. Oh, can I get in the class? I says, have you been studying? I says, no. They say no. So I said, well, and you're not going to make it. I actually did have somebody who enrolled the day of the class, but she was a previous technician and let her license lapse and fell out of the grace period. So, she kind of knew what was going on, so I said, okay, I'll let you take the class. And then we had a few others who were going to come down, but they didn't at the last moment. I rather fill the class up ahead of time because the folks who come in at the last minute usually don't do all that well.
No, of course. They need 2 weeks with the question pool for sure, at least.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them just did it in a week. It's a pretty structured study thing where they do it online, because we used to do it with the books, but by the time you get the book sent to them, you chew up most of the week. So it's an online thing I direct them to, and it has statements, there's practice questions, there's a practice quiz that they submit, and then I see how they're doing, and we get them directed that way. I was happy that I think that about, of the group, 5 youngsters in there, 5 people under the age of 18. Which I haven't seen that in a while. It's good to see the young kids get in the class.
Very good. Yeah, I'll tell you, 25 years ago, I picked up the book just a week before a friend of mine said, I'm going to the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia to take my test. And I said, well, where do I get the book? And I went to Radio Shack, and a week later I passed my technician's test and my 5-word code. So I got Tech Plus at the time. In 1 week, so it can be done.
That was some time ago. If you passed the code test, that'd be before '97.
Well, it was 25 years ago.
Okay.
Oh man, that was like
back in the days when Radio Shack actually sold books.
That was like 100 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't quite 100, but it was about
how
25.
old are you? What are you, about 85 now?
I must be. Yeah, getting close to it.
Let me tell you, I took mine a half a century ago, 52 years ago. I was 16 years old, and I drove to Memphis, Tennessee, all by myself. Went to the federal building and had that drill sergeant there at the FCC give me the test.
I wish I had actually done it back then.
I got on a bus, Tom, and rode down to Atlanta and took mine in 1965.
Yeah, well, back then, I mean, hey, Atlanta was probably more often. In Memphis, they only did it 4 times a year. Didn't Atlanta Atlanta isn't that an FCC location? They probably did it much more often.
Yeah, they did it every I don't know, several days a week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Tom, I'll tell you, I met my Elmer and my best friend Jim, who you met at Dayton this year, at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. What a great place! We had so much fun testing at the Franklin Institute. Now, their world-class ham radio station is no longer there. The Franklin Institute decided that ham radio was just not that interesting any longer and removed the station. And how sad is that?
Well, man. Hey, let me see if James, you're still here, aren't you, James?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, hey.
So I remember going to Atlanta, taking my general test. Man, I was like 14 years old, scared to death.
I remember I was 16, there was a bunch of, I'll call them old guys, they're probably 45 years old, man. They were all in there taking the code test. We were doing 13 words a minute, and man, all those dots and dashes were bouncing off the wall in there, man. Talk about echoes and bouncing it off the walls, and they were throwing their pencils down and says, "I can copy code, but that's unintelligible." And these are like adults, and of course I passed it, but
that was tough.
Yeah. So hey, James, we're gonna have to keep the kids up past 9 o'clock one night and have another show. Can you guys do that some night?
We need to do it before field day. They've got a big operation plan for field day, and I want to get the word out.
When is field day? It's coming soon.
26th of June. Probably I'll need to talk to Michelle and find out what plans are, and I'll need to look at my travel schedule for work. But probably 2 weeks now may be a good time, and they'll have some information. But they have got a big, well, not big, but just they're doing an entirely operated by kids field day. And we found out on Saturday. We're going to have a 1946, I think it is, fire truck brought out to draw kids to the operation. And it's going to be kind of a big deal. They're going to have a lot of fun with it.
Well, get back with me sometime soon when when you guys can arrange stuff, and we'll talk about having another show. I've been asked to come out with field day and webcast field day here, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm tired. This Dayton trip tired me out. Unless Doc can give me something to boost me up. I mean, used to Geritol used to do it, man. Geritol, I will talk about Geritol in a minute, but I don't think I'm going to. I've got to tear all this stuff down and take it out and webcast it. I'm thinking possibly maybe just doing a field day show like Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon from here, and have field day locations call in. I might do something like that.
I tell you what, Tom, James, in the last month, I've had several clients need me to stream events for them. And I now am able to stream directly to YouTube or Skype, Facebook, from my broadcast camera. So if you want to do a field day show, we can set up the camera. We're already planning on doing that anyway. Set up the camera and go live with the Kilo 1 Delta K1D field day event down in Florida.
So let me ask you something, James. I don't want to steal your thunder or take your thunder anyway. If you can stream to your own YouTube channel or Facebook, I mean that's great. I might even make this offer. If you'd like to stream it to, W5KUB.com. I mean, we could even do that if you want to talk about doing that.
We can definitely do that. We don't have a huge following. We just, the idea with all of this is it's not about, hey, rah, rah, rah. It's about getting families and kids and their parents or their grandparents and aunts, uncles, or whatever, come out, get on the air, and see that this is a cool hobby, and get kids in the hobby with the support of their family. Because
I agree, yeah.
It's just, as we've talked about before, you get kids that, you go into the high school and you teach them a class, you're in there once a week, and we've done this. And by the end of the year, they get their license, and then by law, you can't follow up with them because of the way the world is nowadays. By the end of the summer, they don't even know where their radio is. But when you get a kid and their parent, sort of like Marty, Casey wants you to do that. Even though his mom and dad aren't hams, they support him. And if kids have the support of their parents, or even the parents that get into it with them. There's another one, W6LDS, Lucas, the 14-year-old up in Ohio. His granddad tested with him, and they go out and do things together. That, I think, is the key to getting the average age of the ham radio operator back down below where we are now.
Yeah. Well, James, I've tried to encourage and hunt for people that could put some video on our show remotely, where I don't have to be there. And let's talk about it. Give me a call one day soon, and if somebody there is able to be the cameraman and work the camera, and if you guys want to do it, it's a lot of work, as you know, to put a stream on. But I can advertise it through all of our medias. I can advertise it. You'll have a chat room. We can put it on W5KUB, and it could be, it can be you guys' webcast,
We can talk about that. I'm all for that. And anything we can do to get the word out, to get more people to bring their kids out, not only to the field day here in Florida, but to any field day. To drive people to the website the league has where to find the field day and see what it is. I'd be all for it. I'll give you a call. Probably not tomorrow, but maybe on Thursday, Tom. Yeah.
Let's do that. Call me, and if you want to do that, that'd be great. I could even maybe supplement it by taking phone calls in from field day locations around the country. So we may do something like that. I don't know. So just give me a call, and Doc, what I was saying is, I'm getting so old, I can't hardly do these anymore. I used to take a lot of Geritol here the last few years. Now, Geritol, let me tell you, Geritol flat pepped me up, man. I could take like
it's the
3
40%
swigs.
alcohol.
It is. It's
that's what it is.
It's 80 proof. But I could take, I don't know what the dosage is supposed to be, 1 a day or something, but I could take 3 or 4 doses of that a day. And let me tell you.
Oh, that's the problem.
In one day, let me tell you, in one day, I had the energy. I felt good. I felt like I was getting oxygen to the brain. And from a medical point of view, here's my question, Doc. I figure that Geritol's got a lot of iron in it. And I figure that iron, is it iron that takes the oxygen to the brain or something like that? Maybe I'm on the wrong track here.
Iron is the primary ingredient of hemoglobin, so that's what carries the red blood cells, carries the oxygen to your brain.
All right. I knew we had somebody on here that knew the answer to that. So that's a good thing, right?
Don, really, as an older man, do you really want that much iron in your blood?
No, you can get too much iron and it deposits in your heart and your liver, and you can get hemochromatosis, and that's not a good thing.
Well, hemochromatosis don't sound like something good to get.
No.
Well,
no.
Here's what I'll do, Doc.
Getting too much iron is just as bad as not having enough.
Hey, Doc, look, just between
my wife's suffering from that right now. She had she had cancer, and so we're trying to figure out why her body's producing so much iron. Very interesting. Wow. A lot of studies going on.
So, hey, Doc, here's what we're going to do. I'll just keep this real quiet. Here's what we'll do. I'll cut my dosage back to about half, but what I'll do, I'll send you a little vial of blood like every few days, if you can run the test on it for me.
Yeah.
How about just a couple B12 shots?
Hey, let me ask you, does that blood have to come out like a vein, or could I just get it from a nosebleed or something like that?
Well, Tom, you want me to help you, but I wanted to point out that MD stands for medical doctor and not miracle doctor. So
there you go. Yeah.
So that brings me to, while we're on medical tonight, that brings me to another medical question for the doc. They always have to stick that needle in your vein and suck that blood out. If you had a nosebleed, could they catch the blood there and run the same test?
It might be dirty.
Yeah, it's not going to be exactly the same.
Oh man!
What's the secret of that?
In the nose, Tom?
No, I used to get a lot of nosebleeds. I haven't had nosebleeds in many years, but
maybe Tom has to suck on a cigar more.
That's right. You have to start smoking a cigar, you'll be all right, Tom.
Yeah.
Keeps the worms away. So.
Don, let me ask you a question real quick. So, I take a vitamin shot every week. One of my holistic doctors gives me this, what they call a MIC, and I'll have to tell you what's in it. I'll send you an email, tell you what's in it.
A Mick? Is that like, I thought it was a Mickey or something.
No, it's not a Mickey.
I've heard of slipping somebody a Mickey, but
yeah,
it's vitamin B12, and it's got some other amino acids in it, and so I stick that in my leg once a week, along with some testosterone, and I'll tell you what, it works real well.
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion about that if you want to email me offline.
Okay. Now, I would like your opinion about that.
I think I already know the answer.
Yeah, he's not going to like it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc, it burns. Sorry, I can't.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's not the place to say it, right?
Well, let's see. Where are we?
Maybe flashback. Sorry.
Let's just. Well,
I may have outlived my usefulness on this net.
No, never.
We'll always have questions for you, Doc. We'll always have questions.
You know, Doc. Don, I'll find the email that I have from my doctor that gives me these.
Look at Tom Fleck.
Man, let me show you something, Doc. While we were talking to Doc, look right here, Doc. I've got a red spot. Let's see if you can see it on the camera. You see this red spot right here? Now, I thought at first it was sunburn. I've been out working a lot outside, and my shirt comes down to about there. But it's a red spot, and I know several years ago I had this red on my arm, and I had to take antibiotics because it was something on my arm. What do you think, Doc?
I can't see it because you're slightly off the picture. If you'll move to your right, I can see it. I still can't see it. Yeah, I see it now. It's not an insect bite?
What?
Not an insect bite?
No, it's red like a sunburn spot there.
Does it itch?
No, the other spots that are itching on me were what are those little things that bite you? Chiggers.
It's not a hickey, is it?
No, it's not a hickey there. No. Hey, let me ask you about chiggers, man. I got 3 or 4 chiggers on my legs, and I know. Let me ask you something, man. Those suckers.
Don, what's your email address, real quick, Don?
We need to get Kathy on here and have her fess up.
Man, let me ask you something, man. Chiggers. It's the smallest little bitty spot, but they hurt like crazy, man. What do they lay eggs or something? What's under the skin here? I mean, if you scrape it off, is that eggs under there?
No, it's actually, they burrow into your skin and they feed, and then it's a reaction to their feeding.
Yeah. So I tried to drown them out with alcohol, and I've been putting Neosporin on them and other things like that. Will that help them? Will that kill them?
Yeah, it'll help them live.
I think Benadryl will probably help you more than anything else.
I got some Benadryl cream. I'll put that on there.
Well, it might help. Orally is better.
Orally? Orally. Yeah. Okay.
What's the first couple letters of your email address, Don?
It's my call sign, Whiskey Alpha 4, Yankee Mike.
Got it. All right, I'm going to send you my blood work. I'm going to send you my blood work. And, of course, you'll send me a bill. And,
well, Doc, just put mine on my ongoing bill.
I'm on retainer for Tom.
I got a retainer there.
Okay, well, Tom will pay you then.
Now, I have not heard James ask any medical questions, so he must be doing okay.
I actually was almost I went to medical school for a little over 3 years before my bank failed and I ran out of money.
Oh, okay.
So I learned that what I learned in medical school is a list of about 65 diseases I never want to get, and another list of 50 doctors I never want to have treated.
Oh man! Well, let me tell you. Yeah, you got to watch those diseases. I mean, of course, when I went in the Air Force, I was immunized for whatever the word is, for all those diseases, man. Yeah, that bubonic plague one, Doc, how come they give that shot to you? That bubonic plague, how come they give that shot to you in the Air Force with a square needle?
The dull, rusty needles are probably right. Yeah, you don't want to get the plague, that's for sure. It's a bad thing to have.
I think the worst one that I ever got was a bicillin shot when I was in the Navy.
A what? What shot?
A bicillin.
Oh, a
They
bicillin.
give it to you in the backside.
A bicillin. Sound like you had something they were trying to cure.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things when you join the Navy, your second week, first day, they line you up, tell you drop your doors, and they come down with this hypodermic needle, and they say, step on your left foot, and they jam it in your right. So,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
you know, bang it. That's all done.
Now,
That's what they call short arm inspection, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I never got that
Well,
one.
I don't know if it was short arm section. They weren't looking in the front. They was looking in the back.
Oh man, let me tell you, I didn't ever get one of those. Hey, back when I got shots, they had these air guns, I guess, these hot, what do you call it? Pneumatic.
Oh, God, I remember those.
These pneumatic guns, man. And
Yeah.
we'd line up outside. It'd be wintertime. We'd line up outside. It had one door going in and one door coming out, and we'd have to take our shirt off before we went in that door. And we're watching everybody else come out that other door, and their arms are bleeding like crazy. And you know that pneumatic shot, it'll cut your arm, I think, if you move. And you know, I when I was in here getting my shot.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, you got to understand, it's like 700 pounds psi.
Oh, yeah,
They're spraying this stuff into your skin. All right, and if you move your arm, naturally, it's going to tear the outer epidermis.
Well, I hope they were smart enough. I hope they were smart enough to adjust it, because I weighed 119 pounds when I went in.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had more shots from those pneumatic guns, and some of them, they had this thing with a foot pedal. It wasn't attached to a compressor. And I'll tell you what, if the guy miscalculated and he tried to get you, boy, it hurt even worse, because it was less than 700 psi.
Well, we would walk through that. We'd walk in one door, and they're coming out the other door, all arms bleeding. And when I got in here, I could not believe it. They were shooting at flies on the wall with those guns.
Well, when you know you're in trouble is when you're counting the number of people going in, and there's a fewer number coming out.
Yeah. Kurt's on here, WA2JSG. He said he had those same guns in the Army.
Yeah. I'm going to get out of here, guys. I got to get some rest here, get over this cold.
Well, yeah.
Hey, Doc, nice to see you again, as always. Sorry I missed your date.
Yeah, me too. I only had a limited amount of time there, and I didn't get to see all the people I wanted to, but they'll be next year.
Doc, I'm sorry, Doc, you got a cold. What I would recommend, take some of those zinc tablets. That'll cure that cold right up.
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that makes beer taste flat, though.
Yeah,
it makes everything taste flat.
Zinc makes stuff taste bad.
Tom's got it. Tom's got it.
What do I got?
Steve's got it.
Hey, Don, I'm going to send you, I sent you an email with my blood work. You don't have to look at it, but I want you to look at the vitamin cocktails. I take, and, well, you'll see. The one shot I take once a week. Let me know about it.
Will do. 7-3, guys.
All right, Doc. We'll see you.
All right, guys, I'm gonna jump out too.
Good night. Okay.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
You see, you guys are talking about the shots you got. At least I got, when I was in 90, what do we get? In 98, we got this, hold on, I got to do the quotes, experimental anthrax vaccination. And there's about 15 of us that I keep in close contact with, and all we make are girls.
Hey, man. We got something in common. I mean, hey, when I went in the Air Force, they took us to what was it? It was some kind of they did experiments on us. They did some kind of experimental things where they did different things. If you give blood, you get to look at the Playboy, But I didn't get blood, so they stuck a hose down in my mouth and they sucked saliva out for a couple hours. And it was supposed to do something for the astronauts. I guess they were making medicines to to do this. So, yeah, we were guinea pigs there. And let's see, we got Steve in here. He hadn't said a thing.
Yeah, that's good that way. We keep it that way.
Who is Steve?
It's better that I keep it that way. It's a whole hell of a lot.
For Jerry, no, we're not hearing Jerry. Tom, Jerry.
Let's hear from Steve a minute. Hey, Steve, who are you and where are you? I can't make it out. Your picture's little.
Oh, I'm here in Washington State.
Okay. What's your call, Steve?
W7UDI.
Okay. I saw you in the chat room. Very good. So you think we're like a wild and crazy bunch on here after the show?
Oh, I've been sandbagging for a while, so.
Oh, man. Hey, wait a minute. I see something on Hangout. Jerry Aberdeen says, I've been calling Tom on the phone for a while and no answer. Well, I've only got one line right now, and James is on the line. So, Jerry, that's why I didn't answer. Oh, cool. Okay. Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I saw Steve. We didn't speak, but I think I saw Steve a couple times at Dayton last week.
Okay. Yeah, that Jerry is KB3RWT down at. Oh, that's a Jerry. Oh, Jerry, is that you? You're on. You said you tried to call, but you're on Hangout. What are you trying to call for, Jerry? Oh.
You got to unmute your microphone.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. The reason I didn't think it was him because he was on Hangout. I thought it was somebody trying to call in on the phone. Well, Jerry's kind of a funny guy down here. You never know what he's going to do. Well, you know, we kept the medical questions tonight, I think, pretty good. We didn't just overdo it with Doc, even though he ran out on us.
I think every time I get into or watch or listen to these hangouts, you guys run Doc off.
Do we run him off? Yeah.
Jerry, we're not hearing you, bud.
Well, James, you know, since you've had that medical training, you're the backup if Don's gone.
I'm not a doctor, though.
Well, that's okay.
I can't get medical advice.
Oh, man.
I remember those pneumatic shotguns, so my goodness, we got those when I was a kid down in Gitmo before I started first grade.
Oh, yeah.
I remember getting all those things. I was not a happy camper that day.
Yeah, that was interesting. You know, that's the only place I've ever run into those when I was in basic training. I've never had one anywhere since then. I guess it's for mass using, you know. I guess if they want to give, 400 shots in, 10 minutes, that's the way to go.
I reckon.
Oh, yeah.
I got a question. You know that motivational speaker, Tony something, that real big tall guy with the hands. Anybody remember his last name?
Tony Robbins.
Thank you. I'm in a friend's trivia group, and we're not allowed to use Google, but they didn't say anything about you asking your ham radio friends.
The only Tony I knew was Tony Down. He's Wally on Leave It to Beaver.
Wally, Leave It to Beaver, yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, people. So, Tom, did I sound okay when I called in tonight? I didn't hear myself. I turned everything down.
Yeah, you did. I just didn't. I didn't realize who it was. I heard it. I heard it was Eric into KOG, but I didn't realize it was this Eric.
You sounded fine, Eric.
Thanks, guys. I wasn't sure. One of my favorite things that I like to do is I just, everybody talks about, hey, I worked this DXpedition. You never hear from the DXpeditioners. Hey, what was your memorable contact when you were running all these pileups? I think that was one of the coolest things to hear is who they liked working. My last, I know who I worked. When I worked K1N. I worked Jerry WB9Z. I think about every time, and it's kind of cool to hear from that. That was one of the coolest shows I've watched in a while, Tom. That was just so cool. It's about the best way I can describe it. It's just so cool.
You're talking about the show tonight?
The show tonight, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It gave us a different perspective. I thought Bob would probably talk a little bit more about equipment and contacts and so forth, but it was more about the geography and the where they lived and the conditions and so forth.
Wow.
But part of that DXpedition was a scientific expedition, and that was I think 25% of it was supposed to be that.
That was, I was hoping he was going to do a little more on it, but I was glad that he kind of addressed the whole antenna and contact thing. I mean, there was people galore screaming, they should have been running beams, and I don't even think the beams really would have done much more of a difference.
A lot of people tell us the same thing about when we do Dayton, the web show. You should have done this, you got to do that, you got to show this. And let me tell you, it's impossible, man. If I had a staff of about 50 people there and we had maybe, $50,000 or $60,000 to invest, we might could do all that stuff for people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, Tom, I see how hard you work out at Dayton, and there's with the five or so or less people you have out there, that's amazing what you do.
What concerned me, we went on our cart, we went with the desktop on there this time, and it's because the laptop that I'm running, that my Wirecast on, the laptop runs about 90% CPU utilization. This desktop I've got runs about 28% with that program. So I felt like, okay, that will probably run more steady, 8 hours, 9 hours straight. And I measured it on the cart before we went, and I got a good 2.5 hours of runtime off that battery. But man, when we did the show, we had about an hour and 15 minutes, and that was it. And then I'm fixing to down in the South. We always fix stuff, so I'm fixing to I'm fixing to order maybe tomorrow a new i7 quad core laptop just for the webcast, and that way.
Tom, have you seen these new There's an i7 with 10 cores in it now. 20 hyperthread. Wow.
I think you're probably going to get out of my range because I'm looking at $1,100, $1,200. That's a lot of money.
Just the processor is like $1,700 or $1,800. I saw that today. Yeah. Newegg had it. Newegg had an advertisement that came out. That's just insane.
Well,
I don't think you need it. You don't need
10 cores.
10 cores.
Oh my God.
Well, here's what I don't.
20 hyperthreads.
Somebody help me here. This is what I don't understand. I've got some laptops, and I think they're dual cores. The specs mention it. They mention 2 CPUs or something like 2.33 gigahertz twice. But then when you look at it under Task Manager, you see 4 CPUs. So I don't know if they're breaking. Each of those up and running 2 on each one. So if I get a quad core, what's the chances I might have 8 CPUs running?
No, just 4. You'll have just 4 CPUs.
Just 4,
running.
Okay.
If you open the Task Manager up, you'll see how many cores you have running.
Yeah. Well, let me look at this one.
Well,
let me see.
I'm going to have to take off. Thanks, Tom. You did a great show tonight. Thanks, Kathy. And we'll
She's
see
gone.
you
She always,
time.
when the official show's over, Kathy, she always scoots out of here. So we're all on our own here. So.
But she deserves thanks. So.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
All right, good night,
Mark P says it's the number of threads. I have no idea that my laptop's got threads in it, but okay. Oh my, let's see, Delta's in there.
8 threads, hyperthreads.
Yeah.
All right, good night.
Good night. We'll see you.
See you, Jeff.
Boy, he was fast getting out of here. Of course, it's 11:15 up in Jersey.
It's still, the night is still young.
That's right.
I just logged on the 20 meter JT65. Switzerland, New Zealand, Grenada. I don't know. I may get a Grenada contact tonight.
Hey, I could give you one of that.
Well, I'm on there. N2KOJ, the King of Jersey's running JT9, JT65 while we're sitting here.
So who you have from Grenada running that right now?
It is. Where are you? Hold on, I gotta find this call sign. It is Juliet 35 X-ray.
That's Derek. I know him.
Well, I'm hoping he comes back to me. I kind of want to work Mr. Derek.
Yeah, when you see him, I'm gonna log on and I'm gonna try working him also. I haven't heard him in a while. That's my good friend, man.
Well, I saw him. Let's see. He just. He didn't come through this cycle. Yeah, 2 minutes ago he sent the 73 to 3 Delta 2 Echo Radio. 3 Delta 2 Echo Radio. So he just worked. Wow, he just worked Fiji. Nice. So Derek just worked Fiji.
That's all he does, man. He's a digital CW guy. That's all Derek does. He has I think the last time I spoke to him, he had a ICOM something, and that's all he does.
It's a lot of fun. The JT65, I've been really enjoying it. I got turned on to it by one of my friends on Ole Miss, and it's great because I can sit here and put a movie up on the TV screen. I can kick up my feet, and some people will sit there and say it's not amateur radio, but I don't want to hear it but it is but it's great because it's just an all mouse click.
So you can make ham radio contacts, and you don't even have to be at home, right?
Yeah, I go to my meetings. Any of the meetings I go to, I bring I have it all set up, and I team viewer in, and I sit there and I do JT65 from wherever I'm at.
Kind of like a robot at home working your station.
Yeah.
You know, there were 2 kids speaking at the youth forum this year about digital modes, and I was what I considered to be a purist. I had no desire to do anything digital, and those 2 kids opened up my mind to it. I was very impressed.
I was the same way. I did not want anything to do with digital modes. I love voice, and I tell you, I'm addicted to it. It's awesome. It's real, just cool. Just it's nice. It's nice to kind of do something a little bit different. I mean, and it's and the wife doesn't get mad at me because I'm sitting there calling CQ at 3 o'clock in the morning and bothering everybody in the house.
Yeah.
So that's what the kids like now. Sorry. That's what the kids like right now. It's because it's Twitter-like, it's Facebook-like, it's what they're used to. And they like that digital mode. They're not like us old-timers where we rather just have a chat and converse. They just want to have, quick chats and via the keyboard, just like, a chat room or Facebook, Twitter, whatever, Instagram, you name it. So we have to push it. We have to keep pushing this, and if we want to bring in the youth into the hobby here.
Oh yeah. Now it's got me wondering. I thought I've worked at Grenada Station before, but I can't find him in my logbook here, and he's not coming back. I think he went to sleep.
The time in Grenada right now is about midnight, so yeah, he might have gone to sleep.
It's Oh, so they're only an hour ahead of us. I didn't know that. I'm in Jersey. I didn't know that's all the difference was. Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Let me see here.
I tell you what.
I have worked Grenada before. I worked Juliet 39 Delta Foxtrot on. Oh, that's right. 40 meters. That's right. Wait.
And you're talking to him right now. That's my call.
That's you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And like, wait a second. And you know what? I never sent you a QSL card, did I?
Man, you guys, I'll tell you what. You guys talk to each other. You guys talk to each other. You don't know who you're talking to.
We have. That's right. Oh, I thought you were on LOTW. Apparently not. Oh, I gotta get a.
No, I am not.
Yeah, I need Grenada. I gotta get you confirmed. You have cards. I'll send you the SASE to your home ad. Yeah, because here are my notes in the contact, folks. OMIS 40 meter net. Sent card. Oh no, I did send card in SASE to KB3RWT, or maybe it was send. Now, I typed wrong, so I need to. Wow, and this was back in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October,
You're
Of
running out.
2014.
October 2014. Yep.
That's right. I was in Grenada at that time.
I run the 40 meter net. I used to run it on Friday nights. I now run it on Monday nights. And if I recall, in that net, you got a ton of calls that night because I just looked you up, and you are an Ole Miss member. You've got a 5,000 number.
4199.
Yep. I was like, but it still shows you that you're in Maryland because you have to get on.
Yeah, I have made the changes both on the FCC data site and Ole Miss. I don't know why that keeps showing up. I'm in Dallas, Texas for years.
It shows you in the city of Dallas, but it has you as Prince George's County and everything.
I don't know why, bro.
It probably went in. A change probably happened when I love Tom floating the bottle there. That's one of the funniest things. That's my ADHD kicking in, folks. Look, squirrel. But I'm sitting there and I'm going, what? As soon as I set the call sign and I'm looking at the contact, I'm talking to the guy right now. Hey, I got to work one of my buddies that I work on sideband, Hawaii. Hawaii's on 20 meters JT65 right now, and he's got a pretty good signal into New Jersey. Are you going back to Grenada anytime soon?
Sometime this year. I'm not sure when yet, but sometime this year.
My only connection with Grenada, was my father. Now, when they had the what was it, the invasion? What year was that?
1983, October 25th.
So in 83, the day of the invasion, my father gets a knock on the door, and it was the U.S. government. They wanted his HF radio. They wanted to borrow his HF radio so they could communicate. That's how they were communicating with Grenada's via ham radio.
Yeah, because all the comms got messed up by their own selves.
Yep. And then they said ham radio was a saving grace, one of the saving graces down there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I had to find the letter, but he got a really nice letter from. It's on plain letterhead. It has no letterhead. It's just we thank you very much for the use of your equipment. Sincerely, us. It's just signed us. But it was the company. It was the company came in.
The spooks, they don't want anybody to know who they are.
They want a plausible deniability.
Yeah. And he tells the story.
Okay, I'll do that.
my dad told the story. He goes, he says, I'm sitting there, and he was tuning around, and he was listening, and he was tuning around, and there's a knock on his door, and it's kind of like, okay, and he goes upstairs, and they flash their little thingamabobbers, and he's like, what can I do for you? Yeah, we need your radios. And he's sitting there, and he looks at the guy, and he goes, you just can't buy them? It didn't make sense. It just kind of, I still to this day don't understand it, but unfortunately, he's told the story a dozen times, and unfortunately I can't.
And would you believe why they needed the radios? Do you know the story behind that?
No, I don't. I wish I did. He never got.
The story is like this. They